Josh Block was born on August 7, 2001 to Laura Block and Alan Block. He also has one older brother named Jacob Block. Not much is known about Jacob. At the age of 8, Josh received a Nikon camera as a gift where he took a great interest in photography and videography. At the age of 14, Josh's mother passed away from ovarian cancer. His father left with his brother, and Josh's grandfather became his guardian, moving to Medford, New York. In 2018, Josh created his own site through the print-on-demand platform Cafe Press, which was an online t-shirt and merchandise store. He also created a TikTok account to promote this site. This is where the name World of T-Shirts first came in, both the website and the TikTok account being named this. His first TikTok video is a 2-second recording of a door that was released in 2019. He would post many videos of him singing and dancing, as do many TikTokers. However, one thing that brought people to watching Josh was his odd mannerisms. Josh has autism, so his way of speaking and lack of facial expressions while he talks or lip syncs was found quite amusing by some. The first video he did that got him a lot of views was one of him eating crickets, over 900k views. Josh would develop a strong interest in coffee and boba tea, making it a theme on his TikTok page. This was when Josh was hooked on a drink that wasn't so deadly. He even created a song about it, as well as another musical masterpiece about the pandemic. This, however, would pale in comparison to when he started publicly singing and dancing in New York City. His biggest hit is of him singing Empire State of Mind in public. The video has 28 million views today and garnered about 2.2 million followers at the time. He was still in high school at the time, but would graduate later that year. He was starting to make significant money from these videos and was being recognized in public. He was doing interviews and collaborations, articles were being written about him, things were going really well. The middle of the year is when things started to go wrong. While fishing in the Hudson River with a friend, Josh caught a bluegill. Rather than kill it quickly for eating, or better yet letting it go, Josh threw it on the ground and started stomping it into the pavement. Josh would show an unusual amount of amusement while doing this. He got a lot of backlash for this, but he claimed the fish was already dead before pounding it into the pavement. He also did a video later desperately trying to apologize for his behavior, but it obviously wouldn't immediately fix his reputation. 2022 was a fateful year for Josh. This was when Josh had officially turned 21 and was able to legally buy alcohol. He technically had his first drink when he traveled to Cancun, but now in his home country he was able to buy the stuff himself without going anywhere. Josh would immediately start going out to parties and clubs drinking all the time, and it would only get worse from there. Shortly afterwards, Josh met a man named Michael Quinn. Quinn is an internet figure desperate for clout. His biggest accomplishment is inheriting a successful hot dog business. He was also a substitute teacher, but that didn't end very well. Quinn became the first of Josh's managers. The responsibilities of these managers would be to supply Josh with alcohol and then drag him into a hotel room when he passes out. Really, they're just glorified enablers. Somehow Quinn is the least bad of them, but he's still pretty bad. People hated him right out of the gate. He would try to develop his own personality with the term quinning, but people found it cringe. To give an idea of how much Quinn actually cared, he once left Josh passed out drunk at a bar all alone. Quinn did help Josh start his own NYC tour company, though that was actually technically illegal. People would often accompany Josh and attempt to leech off of his clout during these tours. These tours were often just glorified pub crawls, which would end with Josh drinking at a bar. The tours weren't received very well. By 2023, Josh's behavior and drinking had spiraled. The bright smile he once had faded into a drunken, blissful look. He was visibly shaking on camera, urinating in public, vomiting all the time, and even once vomited into a shot glass and drank it. It was so bad there was a TikTok account called World of Alcohol Tracker, which would track how much Josh would drink per day, and the amount was astonishing. His estimated blood alcohol level would reach as high as a 0.38. He was also behaving like a menace in public and grew quite a rotten attitude. This was when he would start sporting his iconic sailor hat and when he'd start getting trolled significantly in real life. People loved to take his hat and run with it, causing Josh to have public meltdowns, biting his own hands, and even sometimes physically assaulting others. Josh loved traveling and going to many different countries, but even there, he couldn't escape the trolls. Even in Iceland, people were antagonizing him. In May, Josh met up with fellow lolcow Daniel Larson. Michael Quinn managed to arrange this, and thankfully the two got along as they were feuding beforehand. They would continue feuding afterwards. In July that year, Josh met a man who goes by the online name Mr. Based, who would eventually become his new manager. This guy is a massive piece of shit. His real name is Jason Itzler, and he was a self-proclaimed king of all pimps in his earlier life, which is extremely damning when you know the case of Julia Sumnicht. In 2011, Julia Sumnicht, a university student, had met Jason's friend Zoltan at a nightclub, and he brought her back to Jason's apartment. Julia had then overdosed on a date rape drug, which was also found on Jason. Somehow, only Jason's friend Zoltan was in prison for this murder and not Jason himself. So yeah, that's who we're dealing with here. He calls himself Mr. Based, but I don't really want to call him that, so we're going to be referring to him by names I think are more fitting. Mr. Pimp had met Josh on a tour where he harassed them. He then kept pestering in DMs until Josh finally relented and the two began streaming together in Jason's apartment, which took place in 2024. Gradually, Josh stopped hanging out with Michael Quinn and pretty much monkey branched to Mr. Sex Trafficker. Jason would isolate Josh and basically pimp him out every live stream, very fitting. Everyone who tuned into his live stream mainly wanted to see Josh, but Mr. Murderer was the one handling all the accounts for earnings and super chats. He claimed to give Josh his fair share, but considering that he never showed the receipts and Josh likely wouldn't notice, many people doubted this claim. During these live streams, Josh's bad behavior would intensify. Mr. Date Rapist would enable text-to-speech on his streams, allowing people to insult Josh in a variety of voices. Josh did not take to any of this well, lashing out every time something rude was said to him. It especially got bad when the trolls discovered how angry Josh got when he was told to put the fries in the bag, a phrase Josh used towards a fast food worker in an earlier live stream. This became an activity called fry bagging, where people would tell him this over text-to-speech and eventually real life. Josh's reactions were extreme. He'd scream on the top of his lungs, become physically violent, bite himself, run around, all over 6 simple words. Geez, I myself have faced much harsher roasts. Every time he even thought he heard it, he would immediately melt down, like during his birthday celebration, where he decided to lash out on what should be a happy day. Geez, he was so much happier back then with the coffee and boba tea. And yes, this even happened during traveling.
Yes, that wasn't me. How did you even get on this bus? What are you talking about, dude? I just moved on.
There's fries in the bag. You okay or something? What are you doing? I thought Josh is on these lads. Josh, come here.
Near the end of 2024, Mr. Groomer created a World of T-Shirts meme coin and called it Blockcoin. I'm sure you all are familiar with cryptocurrency scams, so I'll just say yeah, this was another rug pull scheme. In 2025, Josh and Mr. Lace joined Party, a streaming platform made big by Jack Doherty, who Josh would start collaborating with. In case you don't know much about Party, it's where everybody who is banned from Kick goes. That should tell you everything. Josh would get into a lot more trouble while traveling. In 2025, he went to Japan and completely acted out to the point where somebody actually performed a citizen's arrest on him. Somehow he was let go and told to be on his best behavior, which he wasn't. Back in the States, Josh would then be arrested at a mall. This time he was so drunk he was taken to a hospital instead of a jail. There he was diagnosed with pancreatitis. His daily binge drinking had started catching up with him. It's unknown if it's acute or chronic, but heavy alcohol abuse can lead to the chronic version. Sad to see. In April, Josh tried traveling to Dubai, but he was stopped and barred entry. I can't say I blame the UAE. In May, Josh traveled to St. Louis and met up with Tony Boehm, his next manager. Not as much is known about Boehm, but what we do know is damning. For one, he pretends to be a big youth celebrity despite being well over 30 at this point. He's also been convicted of drug charges in around 2017, and some believe that he cannot leave the country because of felony charges, as he's never been with Josh outside of the US. Obviously, Mr. Loser, who hangs out with kids a third of his age, does not like Tony Boehm, and Jason began taking shots at Josh as his streams went way down without his alcoholic pet.
I hereby declare myself the King of New York! Josh Block is not allowed in my city anymore! Ha!
On July 4th, a giant meltdown happened. Not much is certain of what triggered the event exactly, but Josh was taking no prisoners. He got physically violent against the Frybaggers, against Tony Boehm himself, and even against a random girl. Classy. 911 was called and Josh was charged with assault and battery causing serious bodily injury. He pleaded not guilty, and these charges are still ongoing today. Ever since then, Josh's life has been continuing going downhill. It's the same thing every week. Goes traveling, gets drunk, pukes, gets frybagged, has a meltdown, becomes violent, the whole thing. The most recent interesting event was that he had a live stream with Hollywood celeb turned lolcow Andy Dick.
Would you consider yourself smart?
Yeah, I was on the honor roll throughout high school.
Josh's career and life honestly started out pretty promisingly, but then he got access to alcohol and was surrounded by the worst people possible. I know a lot of people hate him because of his terrible behavior in the past few years, but I believe things could have gone so much more different for him if he had the right mentorship and guidance. This has caused irreversible harm to his body and mind. Who knows how much time he has left on camera before he's institutionalized indefinitely or worse.